welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy. Today we're going to be talking about my December TBR. So, I have a lot of expectations for December. I've decided that I'm just going to have this month to just read whatever I feel like reading. Therefore, I don't have like a set TBR, but I'm going to show you some books that I would really like to get to in this month before the end of the year. Because there's so, my TBR, this is just the first two shelves. I have another shelf on the bottom, is packed. So I just went through my TBR and I picked some books that I feel like I really want to read, like in the moment right now. But that could change as the month goes on. Before we jump into that, I have my books right here on a little chair. Let me just mention about Nonfiction November. I know I did not read any nonfiction books in November. I had talked about The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson, which I did start. I actually started the audio, which the narrator is really good and it's very interesting. It's very drawn out. The writing is tiny. So like when a full day passed of like me listening, like grudgingly listening, because it was just a little bit too boring for me. When I saw like how far I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be brutal. I am just not a nonfiction reader, y'all. I do still would like to get to this because I did enjoy the parts that were about H.H. Holmes. He was a serial killer back in the time when the World's Fair had just came up in Chicago. And his story is very interesting. So I do plan on eventually getting back to it, maybe when I, just don't know what to do. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm putting it aside and it probably will not get finished in the year of 2019. The other book that I talked about was Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. I love their podcasts. My Favorite Murder, it's written right there down at the bottom. I was like, wait, what is it? I love their podcast. They're two women that just talk and they're funny, and this was like my very first podcast that I fell in love with. So of course I want to read their book, and I heard it was really good. I even heard the audio version was the way to go if you are gonna read this. So I do want to get to this as well, just probably not in 2019. All right, with that out the way, let me put those down there. Let's get into the books that I would really like to squeeze into December. So first off, we have A Killer Edition by Lorna Barrett. This is number 13 in the Booktown Mysteries. I read Poison Pages last month and I really enjoyed it. And I didn't even know this book was coming out. And when I saw that it was released, I went ahead and I bought a copy. So just finishing Poison Pages, I was kind of ready to continue Trisha's story. So I've actually finished this book already. But I did listen to it. It is narrated by a Cassandra Campbell, I believe. And I believe I've listened to her narration before. These books are usually read by Karen White, and I've said before that I really was not crazy about her narration. But listening to this narrator, I'm sort of appreciating the other narrator's distinction between characters. Though I rather this voice, I couldn't tell who was speaking. Sometimes I had to like really pay attention or reference to the book, like, okay, who is talking right now? It was hard to distinguish between the characters with this narration, but I really enjoyed it. Of course, it's just a fun, cute, cozy mystery. So this is about, of course, we have Trisha again, our main character, and she just hired her an assistant manager for her bookstore. And with doing that, it has gave her just a lot of free time. She doesn't have to be in the store as much. She's, she's not as responsible as as she used to. She's not responsible for as much as she used to be. So it has actually kind of put a damper on her. But anyway, she has a lot of time on her hands, so she decides to enter in on this Booktown Bake Off that they're gonna have. She also decides that she wants to get into like growing her vegetables, growing her herbs, but she's not much of a planter. So she goes over to her neighbor's bookstore, which is a romance bookstore, and she decides that she wants to get into some more reading as well. So she wants to like try her hand in maybe some romance suspense or a mystery romance or something like that. So she goes over to Joyce's store, and Joyce is also very good with gardening, so she grows her own vegetables and things like that. So Trisha wants to get some tips from her. While she's there, a customer comes into the store. Her name is Vera, and her and Joyce sort of get into a little fight, something about a tree. They're like neighbors, so they get into a fight about like a tree in their yard or something like that, or Vera's tree in Joyce's yard. Where is my mind at? Okay, so they get into an argument there, and of course Vera ends up dead. So, but for once, Trisha is not the suspect in this book. So I love how the author throws in different storylines throughout the book, so you're not like just bored with the plot of trying to figure out who done it. So we have the story of the bake-off. We have the story, Trisha has some sort of a little bit of a love life going on, a little bit of romance in her life. We have the story of there's an animal shelter that could be doing some bad things that could be part of the whole death of Vera, because Vera was very much involved in the animal shelter. So there's a lot going on. So I enjoyed all the little story plots as well as the mystery of who could have done it. And as with these books, I never can guess who it is, and it's always a surprise, major surprise on who it was. So I gave it 4 stars. I'll go ahead and just review it now because I read it. I already read it, but you'll probably be hearing it again in my December wrap up, but I enjoyed it. Okay, with that one out the way, I also have a few ebooks that I want to talk about. First, we'll talk about, and I'll put a picture of it here somewhere. It's called Christmas in the City. It's actually a book with different Christmas short stories in it, written by some very good romance authors. Some of them on here I don't really recognize, but Vi Keelan, Penelope Ward, Serena Bowen, and Elle Kennedy. Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy are the ones that wrote Him and Us, as well as Top Secret. The reason I wanted to get this is because the story that Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy write is the content, like a little novella of Wes and Jamie, who are our main characters in Him and Us. And I was like, oh, if that's like the only story I read, I'm getting it. It's available on your Kindle Unlimited, so if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber or whatever it is, you pay monthly. I think it's like $9.99 a month, 10 bucks a month, and you can read endless amounts of books as long as they're, you know, in the Kindle Unlimited section. But this is Kindle Unlimited, so I decided just to go ahead and download it, and if I only read that one story, who cares? But that's my main reason for getting it, and it's really the only Christmas book that I picked out for this month. So I'm sure I'll read the other stories and I'll let y'all know about them, but I definitely want to read about Wes and Jamie and just another little glimpse into their lives. So with that being said, I am going to re-listen, yes, re-listen, because I read the books years ago. I'm going to re-listen to Him and Us, and I'll put a picture of Us somewhere over here. I've actually already started listening to Him, and I love it. The narration is so good, and the story is just bringing back all the feels. I am just as in love with it as I was a couple years ago when I first read the book. So we have Wes and Jamie, and they have been best friends probably since they were like 16 years old when they joined like this hockey camp. Wes was kind of coming into himself and realizing that he preferred boys over girls at this young age. Something happens between him and Jamie when they're younger, and it kind of scares Wes off, and so they don't speak for a really long time. Not scares him off, but he feels bad for what he's done. They finally like get a chance to meet up again because they both play hockey now for their college teams, and they are going to be playing against each other. So they end up in the same town in the same hotel, and listening to their little story once again, just like I said, just brings back all the feels. I'm loving it so much. I'm almost done. I will probably be done with this one today, so I'm going to start Us as well. And I cannot wait to see what Sarina Bowen and Elle Kennedy have in store in the little novella, Christmas novella that they have written. Backtracking a little bit to November, I said that I wanted to read Recursion by Blake Crouch, and I still do want to read this or listen to it. Yeah, so I didn't get to this one in November, so I'm hoping to get to it in December. So I remember this one has something to do with like false memory, what's it called? False memory syndrome. A mysterious affliction that drives its victims mad with memories of a life they never lived. It reads that this neuroscientist dedicated her life in creating this technology that will let us preserve our most precious memories. If she succeeds, anyone will be able to re-experience a first kiss, the birth of a child, the final moment with a dying parent. So I don't know if this is like a experiment gone wrong, if like memories, if they're like memories are starting to happen, that they've never really lived these moments. I don't know. I don't want to know too much into it. I know I love dark matter, and I'm looking forward to Recursion. Okay, moving on to my really want to get to this month. So first up we have Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. This is the continuation of Carry On. This is a story between Simon and Baz. They are kind of like our Harry and Draco of the Harry Potter world, and but they're into each other, and I like it. I like it a lot. I didn't necessarily like the whole wizarding aspect of Carry On, but I was so involved in their story, like Simon and Baz's story. I really enjoyed that part of it, and I did hear that this book wasn't as good as the first one, but of course I want to see for myself how I feel about it. So I'm looking forward to their continued story and what happens between them. Next up, I have The Chestnut Man. This is actually the only book of the month that I have not gotten to yet. I do have a new book of the month from November, but I'm gonna haul that one first. So I guess I have two book of the months, but this is the one from, oh dear, when was this from? It wasn't October. Was it September? Was this the September book of the month? I don't really remember, but it's been a while and I haven't gotten to this one yet, and I've been wanting to get to it. It's got fake snow all over. It's been under my little tree, but I've heard really good things about it, so I'm anxious to get to it. I don't know much. Again, there's a short little synopsis here, but it says, a psychopath is terrorizing Copenhagen. His calling card is a chestnut man, a handmade doll made of matchsticks and 2 chestnuts, which he leaves at each bloody crime scene. Examining these dolls' forensics makes a shocking discovery. A fingerprint belonging to a young girl, a government minister's daughter, who had been kidnapped and murdered a year ago. A tragic coincidence or something more twisted? To save innocent lives, a pair of detectives must put aside their differences to piece together the chestnut man's gruesome clues, because it's clear that the madman is on a mission that is far from over and no one is safe. yeah, it sounds really good. Okay, I do have 2 books that are sort of wintry and Christmassy. The first one is Nosferatu by Joe Hill, another hefty book. But this one, I believe it has like a storyline about a Christmas town where this vampire, he like lures children into his car and takes them to this Christmas town, if I'm thinking correctly. It's also a series on AMC, but I have not watched any of it. And I haven't really heard much feedback on this series either. So I don't know. I've heard different things about this book. Some people say they love it. Some people say that it was eh. So I'm anxious to see for myself. I've never read any Joe Hill. So let's just read just a little tidbit. It says, Vic McQueen has an uncanny knack for finding things. When she rides her bicycle over a rickety bridge in the woods near her house, she always emerges in the places she needs to be. Vic doesn't tell anyone about her unusual ability. Charles Talent Manx has a gift of his own. He likes to take children for rides in his 1938 Rolls-Royce Wrath with the vanity plate NOS4A2. Do you say NOS4A2 or NOS4A2? I've always heard it pronounced NOS4A2. I don't know. But anyway, in the Wrath, he and his innocent guests can slip out of the everyday world to an astonishing playground of amusements he calls Christmas Land. They journey across the highway of Charles's twisted imagination, transforms his precious passengers, leaving them as terrifying and unstoppable as their benefactor. Okay, that's all I'm gonna read. So yeah, so I remember from the series, just kind of like sneaking in a couple peeks, that there's this young girl who has like this ability to, I think, sort of like see things. I'm not sure how. And then of course this vampire that lures his victims into his car to go to this Christmas land. So it's on the list and it's kind of Christmassy. Next up, I have No Exit by Taylor Adams. Now this I've been really anxious to get to for a really long time, probably since I bought it. All I know about this one is that a young girl is traveling. I think maybe she's going home. She's going home for something. Maybe she's in college. I don't remember. But I know that the weather starts to get really bad, so she pulls over into like this truck stop where other people are at to get off the road because of the snowstorm that is happening. And she sees or discovers that there is a crate in someone's van, truck, I'm not sure, and there's a child in it. So she tries to rescue this child. But I've heard really, really good things about this book, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I picked these next 2 only because I already have them downloaded on my phone through Audible, because I think they were in a sale, buy one get one with 1 credit kind of thing. 1 credit, 2 books kind of thing. And that is Peter Swanson's All the Beautiful Lies. This is about a young man that is in college, and I think something happens to his father. So his mother or his stepmother calls him to come home I don't know if his father, I don't remember if his father passed away or if he was killed. Oh yes, his father is found dead. I think they just write it off as like suicide. But when the son comes home, he starts thinking that he doesn't think that this is a suicide. He doesn't think that his dad would do that. And there's also, I believe, a little storyline with the stepmother falling for the son, and then there's someone else, another woman that kind of shows up that gets involved in the mystery of his father, and that he gets involved with her as well. So sounds really crazy and interesting, and I'm excited about it, and I already have it downloaded. Also, All These Beautiful Strangers by Elizabeth Cleffeth. This, I believe, is a young adult mystery. I believe. I'm gonna read a little bit because I don't really know what it's about. So the little blurb reads, a young woman gripped by her mother's disappearance is caught up in a dangerous web of lies and deception involving a secret society in this highly charged, addictive psychological thriller. So this young girl's mom goes missing, and she is distraught by it, as well as her father, and I believe like they tried to just move on. And it says years later, Charlie is struggling with the dark legacy of her family name and the mystery surrounding her mother. Determined to finally let go of the past, she throws herself into life at Knollwood, the prestigious New England school she attends, and quickly becomes friends with Knollwood's it crowd. Charlie has also been tapped by the A's, the school's elite secret society, well known for terrorizing the faculty, administration, and their enemies. To become a member of the A's, Charlie must play the game, a semester-long, diabolical, high-stakes scavenger hunt that will jeopardize her friendships, her reputation, even her place at Knollwood. Okay, I don't want to read too much more or, you know, read too much into it, but it sounds really good, and it was highly recommended by one of my favorite booktubers, Audrey, over at Chapter and Converse. She mentioned that it wasn't really a book that she would have picked up, and she ended up picking up for some reason, and she like really enjoyed it. So we'll see how it goes. And I have I forgot to mention, I have two more ebooks. No, two more ebooks. One is actually an ARC that was sent to me by the author. I believe it's like an independent author, just like an independent, he's trying, you know, independent publishing author. I don't know what you call those, but he probably sent out emails to have people read his book. I believe his book comes out in February. It's called West of Sin. I'll put a picture of it over here. I'm gonna have to wear my glasses to read this because the print is tiny. Okay. Jennifer Williams hoped her budding relationship with her newly single boss would make this year's real estate conference bearable. Then she caught her boss in bed with a coworker and sped off into the desert, leaving the conference, the hotel, and the Las Vegas Strip in her rear-view mirror. Lost and alone, she stops for directions at a small-town truck stop and disrupts a robbery in progress. Her presence threatens to escalate the situation until another bystander, a man from his own tragic past, steps forward to protect her. She soon learns that the attempted robbery wasn't what it appeared, and that this small town west of Sin City is home to a big secret. He said in the email that it was a thriller. So I said yes, I would read it and put in a review to my viewers. So yeah, we'll see. I'll try to get it in this month, if not definitely in January. That way, because it comes out in February, and I will let y'all know more about it after I've actually read it. But it's on the list. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this month, but definitely for January. And then the last book that I have that I would like to possibly get to is Nothing Serious. It is by Jay Northcote. Again, I'll put a picture of it somewhere here. I don't know, it's very short. I think it's like a little novella. The review that I saw on it was an audio review, and the audio was only like 4 hours. So the book's gonna probably be pretty short. Oh, it's a pretty long synopsis. But it said, what happens when nothing serious turns into something more complicated? So just by briefly going over the synopsis, it said, it seems we have Mark, who is probably our main character, is moving into an apartment with a friend, and he's moving his things in, and there is a ridiculously gorgeous, that's what it says here, moving man. And something happens with one of his boxes, it gets split, and personal items like go everywhere. He's mortified. So these personal things that fall out of the box seem to be like sex toys. And then it says, you know, like it brings them together into a friendship, and the friendship turns into a friendship with benefits. So I think it's just a little bitty short story. I thought it sounded cute when I was reading about it on one of my book blogs that I follow. So I thought I'd give it a go, you know. So I put it was free, of course, with Kindle Unlimited. So I put it in my Nook. So it's waiting for me to read it. So that's all the books I picked up or picked out that I possibly would want to read for the month of December. Like I said, things could change. Don't know if I'm gonna get to all of them. Don't know if my feelings are gonna change and I'm gonna wanna listen or read something else. But of course, I will let y'all know in my wrap up. But yeah, that is it, y'all. Thank y'all so much for sticking around with me through this. I feel like it was a crazy kind of video because my battery kept dying. It like died like twice. I only have one battery. So I was trying to like hurry it along and it didn't charge enough and it like immediately died when I kept trying to film some more. But anyway, I felt like this was kind of like a chaotic video. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you'll be reading in December. I would love to know, maybe pick up some tips from y'all. If y'all have some Christmassy books that y'all are gonna be getting to this month, let me know. I'll check them out, see if maybe I want to add them to my list or switch something out. I don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling this month. Like I said, I just went through my TBR and just like started pulling books out that I felt like I wanted to read at that moment in time. But we'll see how things go. So happy reading, y'all. Happy December. I'll post all these books that I mentioned down below if you want to check them out for yourself, as well as my social medias, of course. Come follow me. I'm always on Instagram, always updating my stuff on Goodreads. I have a Twitter. I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.